Hello and welcome to Books and Us, the podcast about learning about new ideas and getting inspiration from books. I'm Ranjit Monga and I bring to you interviews with authors of books in the non-fiction category. If you would like to read about the podcast interviews, you can visit the website www.globalbihari.com and search for the column Literary Speaking. Listeners, today we are tackling a topic that many of us find daunting, confusing, and sometimes even a little scary. And I'm talking about money. In this episode, however, we are not going to deal with financial advice in the traditional sense. It is about love and preparation. When you plan for what you are leaving behind for your loved ones, that's an important area that we often ignore. It includes the information about all our financial investments, bank accounts, insurance policies, etc. So today we are going to explore this topic through a valuable book titled Let's Talk Legacy, a financial planner for your loved ones, and the author is Monika Halan. This is not a book you read cover to cover, but one you live with, fill in, and return from time to time. It's actually a workbook designed to hold all the details of your financial life. And I would say kudos to Monica for thinking about such a book. It honors your love and care for your family and loved ones. So, Monica, welcome to Books and Us.
Thank you so much, Manvi.
Thank you, Monica. Monica Halan is a leading voice in personal finance in India, known for making the world of money accessible and understandable for all. She's a certified financial planner and holds two master's degrees, one in economics from the Delhi School of Economics and the second one in journalism from Cardiff University, UK. She has a career spanning over 3 decades and has worked with top media houses such as Mint, the Economic Times, the Indian Express, and has also served as editor of Outlook Money. She's author of three books, which have been translated into multiple Indian languages. And beyond her writing, she has anchored a TV series on personal finance. She is an advisor on many government committees. She currently serves as chairperson of SEBI's Advisory Committee for Investor Protection and Education. In addition, she is also the founder of the Dhan Chakra Financial Education Initiative. Above all, she also has her own podcast, Let's Talk Money, in which she talks about personal finance and also answers queries from listeners. So, Monica, reading your first book, Let's Talk Money, was an eye opener for me. And also, because your long experience as a journalist, I saw that you have dealt with, issues and personal finance from the point of view of people, ordinary people, and how they would be able to understand. And that's the work of journalists to simplify the jargon and the technicalities. So even your second book now, this book, Let's Talk Legacy, which we're going to talk about, also simplifies everything. So can you give us a peek into this book from your perspective? What is it really about?
Yeah, Ranjit. So just one small intervention. So Let's Talk of Money is the first book. Let's Talk Mutual Funds is the second book where
Ah, okay.
it becomes slightly more technical. So once you've got your basics in place, the Let's Talk Money,
Ah,
most retail investors want to understand mutual funds, and the way to invest in them is really through knowledge,
ah,
not through tips.
ah.
So Let's Talk Mutual Fund actually guides you to the point where you can take the decision on your own. And then the Let's Talk Legacy, which, as you said very correctly, is a workbook. It's a financial planner where you record your financial life. So it's not a book that I write in more. It's a book in which you, as the person using it, writes in all the financial details. And like my publisher said, that it's not a book for the big shelf, it's a book for the locker because it's got such sensitive information that you should put it in a locker and lock it up
Yeah.
because this is really your entire life. I'll tell you why I did this because, especially during COVID, I got a lot of calls, largely from women, and this we could also be corporate women with jobs. They have been sub debts, and most people had no idea what the spouse or even the parent was doing with money. So it was
Oh.
just completely, there was just no roadmap. There was nothing. They had to surround around. They didn't know how many bank accounts, who, what kind of policy, what kind of product, where the papers were. And today, it's not just financial products and real assets. There's also a whole lot of other things which need the baton to be handed on. So this has been on my mind, and then it was actually the publisher who said that he had an aha moment once when his plane was in turbulence. So he found himself sending a WhatsApp to his wife,
Oh.
thinking that in case I crash, at least she would have those details. So he said, why don't we put this down in a workbook where people can just record their financial life? And even if you don't sort of, record it in the book, but it will give you enough structuring to do this on your own on Excel sheets. Because the main problem is I've seen how people do it very disorganized. The whole idea was to organize this in a certain way and give you an entry into saying, look, this is very important because you can build the assets. But if you don't look after it after you're gone, then sometimes it's the government that owns it. Family and your it does not because they don't know that the assets are there. So that's been the motivation that it's not just enough to earn money. It's not even enough to invest it. It's very very important to document it, and that documentation is what I have done.
As you very rightly said, that many of these assets remain with the government, and in the book you have talked about LIC policies, unclaimed gold, and the money in savings accounts, which are in enormous amounts.
Yeah, yeah,
Most of us tend to keep all these details in our heads, and
yeah.
very rarely want to talk about the finances or share details, even with close ones. You have worked with people for so many decades, and so why do you think there is a hesitancy among people to discuss and share details?
I think we need to go back to the Mahabharata where the judge asks Yudhishthir, what is the greatest government in the world? And he says that we know that we're going to die, but we know it. I think it's this thinking of immortality because when you're alive and well, when you are young, you can never imagine that you'll ever, even when you're old, you can never imagine that you'll actually die.
Yeah.
So this is something that we just don't accept. We don't like to talk about death in families. If somebody in a family were to ask about an elder person making a will, they are immediately blamed that we want me to die. Or if a
Yeah.
wife were to ask her husband what are the assets where they are, she'll be accused of being grieving. So I think we mixed up a lot of emotion with this question of death. And for me, I think you should actually live every day as if it's your last because literally you don't know. And if you do that, one, you're much happier, you accumulate less. And three is you actually document everything because if you don't see tomorrow, you would want your family to have your assets. Right? So it's also a little bit of my own philosophy to say that it can happen anytime. There's nothing wrong with it. If you're born, you may die. It's very good to discuss these things with them. If I die, what can you do? If you die, what will I do? I think these are important conversations to have with spouses. These are important conversations to have with parents. And I think we should be okay to take a little bit of their scolding to say, do you want me to die? To tell them very normally, no, I don't want you to die, but I do want to go back because it is inevitable. I will be very sad. I would rather you don't, but we know that this will happen. So why don't you doc? We don't need to hear anything from him. The will that you make can be secret. Just please leave a roadmap. I think these are conversations we should have in a neutral, matter of fact way. So I find that thinking about your own death helps you really live your life better. So it's an extension of that into this book, and which is why I'm saying that yeah, these conversations are difficult, but once you do them, it's a key to freedom.
As you said, that if we look at our own death, then we also become aware, of what we need to do in case we do die, and what we are leaving behind. Same thing you have also said about listing our assets. That once you actually start listing out your assets to make into your financial planner, that also creates an awareness about how much we are worth, and how much more we need to do in terms of
Yeah.
financial planning.
So yes, you can fill this book for your family, but no, you find yourself using it more and more because once it's documented, you keep going back to see either passwords or assets. I find myself when I am making lists, I refer refer to it very often, and because everything is documented there, and then also you can't hide from yourself. Once
Yeah.
you put down your assets, your liabilities, you can't hide from yourself that something big will happen and I will be okay. So it's also a moment to check when you put your assets down. And I have to tell you, most people find out they have more than what they thought. It's actually a very good exercise to do because you
Yeah.
realize once you put everything together that you have more rather than less.
Yeah, because you have cited that there are many accounts which we have forgotten about, or company policies, health policies, insurance policies lying around which we have forgotten about. And when you start listing them, they sort of come out of the closet, and then you know that they are
Yes,
there.
yes. So it's a very empowering exercise. We are just not doing it thinking that it's going to be sparing, but the reverse happens. You actually get far more empowered.
And the section on putting all the documents in one place, I also found very useful because invariably, nowadays there are so many accounts, there are so many, policies, and we have so many financial investments or instruments, and there is some or the other paperwork, whether digital or physical paperwork involved in that. So it looks like a very big task to put them in one place. How do you suggest we keep it simple?
So the ultimate goal is that any document that you need, you should be able to retrieve it in 30 seconds. You should know exactly where the physical copy is. You should know exactly where the digital copy is.
Yeah, but
Uh,
usually we when somebody says send us your PAN number, it takes half a day to.
these are choices I make today about my
Yeah.
tomorrow. That
Mm,
do I want my tomorrow self to waste half an hour any time somebody wants my pan? Or do I
mm,
do the work today so that my future self takes 30 seconds to retrieve that pan? Because I will need that pan again and again. I will need that Aadhaar again and again. So
mm,
literally what prevents me from creating a folder on cloud, putting a password on it, and simply just uploading the documents so that if somebody wants it, it should take me 30 seconds to forward that to that person. So I think we need that organization today so that they can free up our time tomorrow. And that is a very important decision to take. Do we want to continue to live in the mess? Or do we
mm,
begin by just putting some organization into our paperwork, into our life,
mm,
so that you don't have to begin from zero every time you need a client. So
mm.
again, these are just choices that we have to make.
And what about the physical papers?
Everyone will have some place where they store their documents. Again, it should not take more than 30 seconds to get the physical Aadhaar or PAN or passport or insurance policy out the document. It should be filed, labeled, updated. It literally takes very little time once you put the system in to update it. So you should, I would say, when you're working, take a time off, set yourself a deadline. Like in a month, I should have this answered. Because if you don't set a deadline, it's going to spill over. Define time for things which are important. So this is important, and you will find the time to just to provide this to encourage all the listeners to find that time, set yourself a deadline.
And then you are saying that we put everything in one place, and then we record that in this workbook so that anybody who is accessing a book, suppose something happens to us suddenly, so they know exactly where everything is kept, right?
Yes. So one, see again, I'm not saying buy the book. All
Mm,
I'm saying is that there is a way to do it.
mm,
Should you like to or like on a digital thing? But the problem with the digital thing is only you know the location of that file on your computer. So unless you're using a cloud service or a Dropbox service, if you're not doing all that and you password protected it, that's great.
mm,
But for me, the problem with uh, the digital storage is just the hacking. So the physical book, again, just as you keep your passports safely in your phone safe,
yeah.
you should ideally put it and then put it inform your family members, right? That this is where the paperwork is, this is all it says. So that in case something happens, the other person knows. And that's equally true of parents or their children, especially people who are close, say 7 this is absolutely essential. The mess that is left behind, it takes long layers to sort that out. Why do you want to do that to your kids? And life is not about money. I write about money, but that's, you should just control it so that you can do the things that are important to just get it out of the way.
Books and us opens doors to knowledge and an understanding of the world around us. Let's discover together.
So the same thing is with the plethora of websites that we are, we subscribe to, social media accounts, the passwords, and you have said that you should also think about passing on the passwords of your social media accounts.
Yeah, I think they should be closed after somebody passes away. Because what it's again very upsetting thing. So somebody passes away, but their Facebook account is on and their
Yes.
workday shows up and somebody wishes them on their birthday list.
So now I think even Facebook has an option where you put a legacy number or somebody.
Yeah. So, and for me, more than social media is important, but I think everything today has a username password, whether it's electricity or water or Wi-Fi, phone, or everything is a username password. Please document that because when you go, then your spouse will have no idea where the Wi-Fi password is or where the gas username, where the bills come. So again, you could really organize it. There should be a portion with all the bills. Your electricity, water, electricity, Wi-Fi, it's all should be documented.
We have an
Whoever's
app now
there.
for everything. Yes.
Yeah, so editing is an app so that would username password need to be documented. Yeah, so again, it's a question of time. So yeah, the spouse will find them out eventually, but he or she will waste 2 weeks and get it.
Yes.
If you had it ready for them to do it, then that time is better utilized than someone else.
Yes, and you have also talked about the real estate assets where families fight for generations,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes they don't know the details, where they are and what, and many people have died, and nobody knows where the real
Yeah,
estate assets
exactly.
are.
So I'm not a big fan of real estate. Yeah, and because it doesn't, the children fight over it. My thing is one can be dividends and rest all in financial assets. Because real estate is terrible. It's a terrible asset to big week for the children.
Why? Because it's very expensive to maintain also afterwards.
Oh, so everything, like one is that the transfer ownership is horrendous process. You will always have to be registered, and even then it will take a long time, and especially if there's a dispute between siblings. It doesn't that part doesn't change unfortunately. So yeah, so that becomes difficult in the repeating. And when there are multiple owners,
Yes.
it's been bought in joint names with a brother or some other relative, it becomes lesser and lesser. Well, ideally, if you have financial assets and top denomination is filled in, and there is a will and no death certificate, the process literally takes 2 weeks. If that, it's very smooth, very quick.
In your earlier book, Let's Talk Money, you have recommended building an emergency fund, for example, and especially after COVID, you have recommended that you increase the amount in the emergency fund. That leaves some of your income free for saving and investing for long-term returns. Now, how do you envision that this concept can be passed on as a legacy? How do you know that your family will also follow this, or how do you think they should pass on this?
So if you are organized in your finances, there is a fair chance that your family will also be because they'll
Okay.
see, once you do all the work, they will see the benefits of that, and they automatically then begin to follow. But I think that will be nice legacy to leave that this is so well organized. We just have to follow the system.
Yeah, that's true. That what we see our parents doing, we invariably tend to follow. So when we make this, put down everything on paper and put a location to everything and how to access them with passwords. When do you think is the right time to designate one person to whom we can entrust all this information, or do you think that this dialogue needs to be ongoing? And should it be with just your spouse or with other dependents as well, like your parents?
Be it important for the spouse, absolutely. Spouse and kids for sure. Parents is a choice. It really depends. It depends on the family situation. Will they make it feel are you responsible for parent? So it depends family to family. But I think definitely your spouse actually should be part of filling of these details.
You even recommend that your spouse should also be filling in the details along with you.
I'm saying that yes, especially if the spouse is a woman, then and trust the job to her so that she onboards this entire process. Because most women have no idea. They're
Yes.
oblivious of all this paperwork and all that. I think nothing prevents her from getting on board with this. Why not? So entrust the job to her. And it will really empower her in terms of her knowledge about what the assets are, where they're kept, in whose name they are. But important things to happen.
At what age do you think one should start compiling and thinking about what they're leaving behind?
As soon as you start earning, there's no, you just start the minute you start earning, you should start doing this.
So, what about people who are not earning yet, uh, or they could be inheriting something?
Look, if you have bank accounts,
Okay.
if you have any investment, if you have any assets, if you're filing your tax returns, in all of these situations, you need to have your documents, you need to document what you have. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So even if you're not earning a current income, or you have assets, or you're drawing a pension, it almost doesn't matter as long as you are functioning adult, you need to do this.
And how is writing a will different from this work, recording a workbook?
So, really is a documentation of what you want to do with the assets.
Okay.
You could just simply say that I bequeath these assets to, I bequeath my this, that, and the other. But when you do that, this, that, and the other, people don't know what they have, right? So you provide an annexure. The annexure has all of the details that I'm talking about. That I bequeath my mutual fund units to this child. I bequeath that property to that child. So they should know what those assets are. Right? So having this down helps you to write your will because you would also have to document all these things, right? That these are my assets. If you document your assets out, and then you will bequeath them, no? So you can write a will that all my assets are to be divided equally among my children. So that's really a shoddy way of doing your will, man. And I'm sorry. If you really love your family, then you will not do a shoddy will. You will write it down, you will pin it down and say this asset goes to this person, this much of the asset which be that person. So documenting it, either this book or whatever other system you have. I'm not telling you to buy a book. I'm saying document it in any way that you want. But please document it because even the will require documentation. In Let's Talk Legacy, I had even put down doctor names, their numbers, started account, financial planner, insurance. All these service providers to the house, their details are also documented, their phone number, their emails. When somebody dies, emotionally trauma is Babala. Do you want this trauma? Right? You don't.
So, do you recommend taking professional guidance before you start filling up such a workbook or starting documenting on their own, whatever?
Yeah, I think if you want to talk to your SME, your lawyer, your financial planner, these are all very good ideas that you should definitely check with them.
There's a chapter about even listing your gold jewelry and vehicles
Yeah,
and
yeah.
personal articles and even art collections like coin collections or, wall art. So, how does one go about that?
For jewelry, you take pictures of every piece of jewelry and document that. And then you can write against each piece who that piece goes to. So again, these are time consuming, difficult things to do. Because people, and also then do you care really who that jewelry goes to? If you care, then you do the work. If you don't care, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I think most people do care where to leave it.
So, right, look, if you care, then you do something about it fully. So, if you don't care, then it doesn't matter. Whoever was in the house when you die, you take it all. You open the cupboard and all of it is well. That's how it happened.
So, how many percentage of people have you found that who actually do this?
Very few.
Very
I
few.
probably am a very, very far outlier in all of this.
Yeah.
Some people do it diligently. Most people do a part of it, which is also fine. And you don't want to photograph every piece of jewelry or that. You
Yeah.
can also get it valued. And yeah, it really depends how far you want to go on the journey.
And even you said that you should value it every few years.
If you are getting the jewelry insured, then you need the valuation.
And even your real estate, you fill in the value every few years.
That's for your own consumption. But yeah, I mean, see, you can keep doing more and more. But all I'm saying is just start with those extras, start the basic documentation. Then, depending on how complicated your family structure is and how much you can keep adding to it. But my suggestion would be keep it very simple. And also check combinations should be there in all bank accounts, in your stocks, in monetary funds. Insurance, of course, have got to the beneficiary, but these assets really should have nominations in place.
And even art collections you talked about.
Everything, no, any people collect different things. They collect
Yes.
wines, they collect art, they collect coins. So whatever
Right.
is important to you,
Yeah.
and book, it's a good idea to put a name down in the way to this
Yeah.
person. And look, when you're putting name down, always be sensible. Put the email phone number of the person.
Okay.
Because whoever is the executive can't only revolve. If
Yeah.
you have somebody in mind, please put their contact details with them. Especially
Yeah.
for single people, it's a very important thing to figure out
Yeah.
that if you have nobody knows, you will nobody knows, then usually people want to give it to a social organization or a religious trust or some state-based organization. To keep that thing down, find a person who will be the liaison within that institution and for executive approval. And it's reasonable to assume like you're already a part of that institution and you will have somebody in mind who will be the person who will help the transfer of assets to that institution. So it's a good idea to put that name in.
Another thing I wanted to discuss was about people who are retirees. Do they follow the same process, or for them, do they record things differently? Or suppose they are starting after the retirement?
See, there's no difference. It's what you have and who do you want to live with. You have to answer those questions. What do I have and who do I love to live with? Whether you're young or old, it doesn't matter. In the process term, it's exactly the same. It's just a discipline thing. That should you do this, you're actually in a better place. You don't have to feel worried all the time. Yes, people feel worried because of the mess. If you clean it up, you actually have a better life. So it's sometimes not about money. It's just another way of cleaning up the life.
Or respecting the people, who would be left
Yeah,
behind?
definitely. For the family, that's one of the greatest things that can be said.
So, Monica ji, thank you so much for joining us today. And your book is really very enlightening. And I'm also looking forward to start filling it very soon. So, thank you very
Wonderful.
much. Would you like to give any contact details?
You can mail me at monikahalan.com, NAIL, mail me at monikahalan.com. That's my public email. Please do look me touch. And I can only say the Let's Talk Money is the first book. Let's Talk Mutual Funds, if you want to deal with yourself. And Let's Talk Legacy is your starting point. You don't have to buy the book. You can do it on your own in whatever manner you want, but just do it.
No, but I find in the workbook it's really neatly laid out and it makes a lot of sense when you read the categories and the headings and everything.
Yeah, so if you want to take the categorization and create an Excel sheet to that, then that's the real idea.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for so much of information and enlightening us.
All right. Good wishes to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica.
Bye.
Bye. You were just listening to Monika Halan talk about her book, Let's Talk Legacy, which is about recording the details of your financial life. Well, listeners, do you have any personal stories about the financial ambiguity after a loved one's passing and not having a clue to how to pick up the threads? Do share with us. You can write to us at podcast at ramonproductions.org. That is RAMONPRODUCTIONS.org. So that's all for today. Hope you liked today's episode. This is Ranjit Monga signing off. Till next time, goodbye and take care.